Hey there, I'm going to talk to you about part 2 of the irregular preterite tense verbs in Spanish. And I broke this up from the other two simply because I think it's a little more manageable. Just to refresh from the previous video, part 1 of irregulars, we talked about categorizing these and grouping these together. The first one was the garkazars, and we talked about how those endings changed. Clump all of those together if they end with gar, car, zar, and memorize those new endings. Leer and oír I like to think of as the double vowels that are irregular in the preterite, leo, and again those only conjugate in the third person singular and plural. And by the way, the garkazar is only conjugated in the yo form right here, busque, pague, almorce. Only in the first person with the garkazars, only in the third person singular and plural with the double vowels leer, oír. And then, this is the one that I wanted to do a different video on, is the stem changers. All right, if you don't remember, stem changers in the present tense were, for example, cerrar, and we dropped the e and we added ie, and then our new ending in the present tense, cierro, cierras, cierra, and so on. And then there was no stem changer, and then nosotros and vosotros, and then there was, and we called those boot verbs, if you remember. Okay, well, in the preterite, you'll be happy to know there are no stem changers for the AR and ER ending verbs. For example, we have cerrar and volver right here, and you can see that there is no stem changer. There's no E to IE, there's no E to I, there's no O to UE, like volver in the present tense went vuelvo, and so on. You can see there is no stem changer here. It's just simply the new regular ending, cerré, cerraste, cerró, which we talked about in the very first video on preterite tensed regular verbs. However, that being said, we do have some stem changers in the IR verbs. So this is very, very specific few verbs that this is going to happen to. It's only in the third person singular, so he, she, you, and the plural, ellos, ellas, ustedes forms. So just like leer and oír conjugated, changed in the third person, these also stem changers are only going to change in the third person. They had to be E to IE verbs, or they had to be E to I verbs in the present that changed E to I verbs in the preterite. Okay, so the E to IE and the E to I are going to change E to I in the third person. Okay, that's a whole lot of talking. Let's take a look at what we're talking about. Let's take preferir. It ends with an IR. So number one, does it fall into the category of an IR verb? It's not AR, ER, so it's possible that it has a stem changer in the preterite, right? Because we don't have any stem changers for the AR, ER verbs. This is an IR, so we have to consider it may have a stem changer. All right, let's take a look at it. In the present tense, it did have a stem changer. It changed to prefiero, as you can see in the blue right there, right? The E changed to an IE stem changer. You can also see that boot, it did not conjugate, have a stem changer in the nosotros form. In the preterite form, if we go over here, though, we don't have a stem changer in the yo form. We don't have a stem changer in the to form. However, what was the rule? In the third person singular plural, we do have a stem changer, but it is not IE this time, it's just an I. So in the present tense, we went prefiere, prefieren, and here we're just changing it to prefirio. Same ending for our preterite that we learned on regular preterite, but the I is changed here. Prefirieron. So just the third person singular and plural changed from an E to an I. Look at the yo form, preferi, E is still there. Preferiste, preferimos. So just the third person is going to change E to I. It says the boot becomes a ballet slipper, haha. Okay, so present tense was a boot, preterite tense is a ballet slipper. It's kind of a cute way to remember it. Verbs that change from O to UE, dormir and morir in the present, O to U in the preterite. Okay, so again, this time it's not going to have the same stem that we did before. Here's the present tense of dormir. It changed O to UE, duermo, duermes, duerme. Look over to the right side, the ballet slipper. It still conjugates the same, irregular preterite, dormi, iste, imos, right, io, ieron, and so on. The endings are the same, but remember that stem changer? We have to go back and change that letter from an O to a U this time. Durmio, durmieron. Now, do I put the U in the yo form in the to form? So is it durmi? No, it's dormi. Dormiste. No stem changer. Then third person, I hit my stem changer. Durmio. Durmieron. Okay, so very, very specific few verbs here that have stem changers. Again, to recap, AR, verbs do not get a stem change in the preterite. Only the IR verbs that had a stem changer in the present tense will change in the third person singular and plural forms. The E to IE and the E to an I will change from an E to an I in the preterite. So in the present tense, when they change from E to IE or E to I, they will change from E to I in the preterite. And again, the O to UE in the present tense will change to O to U only. So again, here we have prefiero I. The E changes to an I. Instead of IE, it changes to I. And here, instead of a UE, it changes to just the U in the preterite. Okay, only third person, singular, plural. All right, that's a lot to take in. You might need to stop these videos and go rewatch them, rewind it, write it down, take your notes, and so on. As always, I would recommend going to Google and simply typing in irregular preterite Spanish verbs, and you will come up with a list. You can even type in commonly used preterite irregular verbs in Spanish, and it'll just show you a list of all the verbs that this applies to. But for my class in particular, if you're in my class watching this, it's already using the verbs here are the ones that are going to be on the test most likely. So the book or the open resources that we're using are what we're pulling, the resources that we're using to make our tests. So whatever verbs you're seeing in these resources throughout the semester and these lessons is what's going to be on the test. But it is a good idea just to be aware that there are other verbs other than these listed right here that do follow these same rules. Okay, if you have any questions over that, as always, please feel free to reach out and let me know. Be happy to help you. Thanks.